Okay, this is 7-8, and I've got my calculator started up here. Yours is going to look different than mine. This is the computer calculator. So I did want you to write your equations so you get comfortable with them. Interest equals principal times rate times time. And so my principal is 200, my rate is 0.07, and my time is 2 years. This is simple interest. And so 200 times 0.07 times 2 is $28. And then this one, complete the table, compound the interest annually at your last calculation round to the nearest tenth. So I've got $3,000, 4%. So let's figure out that would be, again, principal interest equals the principal times the rate times the time. So my rate is 0.04 and it's going to compound annually. So I have to figure out what happens in the first year and then use that for the next year's beginning balance. So $3,000 times 0.04 times 1 year is $120. That will give me 3,120, adding those two together. The principal plus the interest is the new balance. That's going to be my new principal at the start of year 2. So I take 3120 times 0.04 and then times 1. You don't have to put that part in. I get $124.80. And I add that to that. I get $3,244.80. And that's going to be my new balance in year 3. So principal times rate times time. And here I need to round to $129.79. So 129.79 plus 3244.80, and I get $3,374.59. In number 5, it asks us to find the balance, and we're going to use this equation where B equals P 1 plus R and N. Now, the key here is how many times they compound in a year. This is the rate per period. So if you have a 4% rate and it compounds 4 times a year, then the rate is only 1%. And this is the number of times it compounds. So if you have 4 times a year and it's 2 years, it compounds 8 times. Now this one is compounded annually. So I've got the balance will be 495 times 1 plus, it compounds annually, so the rate per year is 0.08. And I didn't write this down for 2 years, so this is going to be a 2 because it's going to compound twice. So I'm going to have 495 times 1.08, just added those up, squared. So 495 times 1.08, and I have an x squared button on my calculator, so I'm just going to use that. And it squared it. Yours is going to show it a little differently. And I wrote that, that's a 5. I get $577.37. Number 7, I've got $2,000 at 5% compounded semi-annually. This means 2 times per year. So the balance is going to be 2,000. That's that P. 1 plus the rate is the rate per period. Well, it's 5%. And I do that twice a year, so I need to divide that by 2. So I'm going to get 2.5%, which is 0.025. And then how many times does it compound? It does it twice a year for 2 years, so 4 times. So 2,000 times 1.025. You should have a button on your calculator that either looks like this or it may look like a caret, which is this symbol, which means raise it to the power. And I'm going to raise that to the fourth power, and I get $2,207.63 because we need to round to the nearest cent. And I decided we needed to do another example of those, so I added number 9 to your homework list. It says you deposit $600, so that's my principal, in an account for 3 years. So for 3 years, the interest is 8% per year, and it tells me it is compounded quarterly, which means 4 times per year. So we're going to use this equation, but they're going to walk us through finding the things to put in that. So in 9A, it asks, what is the quarterly interest rate? Well, if it's 8% per year, a quarter of that, we would need to divide that by 4. So that's 2%. So that's what's going to go in right here at that R. And then 9B says, what is the number of payment periods? Well, it's quarterly per year, and it goes for 3 years. So 3 times 4 is 12, and that's going to go right there. And then 9C, find the final balance. So the final balance would be P, which would be 600, times 1 plus 0.02, that's that 2%, to the 12th power. So I have 600, 1.02 to the 12th power. And so 600 times 1.02, and I'm going to raise it to the 12th power, and I get $760.95.